it's Sage and I'm here with another video, this time on chapter 934, Hyougoro the Flower. Now, I hope I'm saying that right. It's Grandpa Hyo, so Hyougoro? I assume so. But we do find out more about him later on in the chapter, so I will discuss him later on in the video. But to start with, the cover page. It's more fluff. I'm not too interested in it. It's Usopp. It's just fan service. But the real meat of the chapter starts with the Big Mom Pirates. Now they're at sea outside of Wano on the charter, and Perospero is going on this ego trip as they discuss the possible fate of Big Mom. He's kind of saying, you know, I could take over the Big Mom Pirates. The Big Mom Pirates are saying largely no. And what I would like to talk about is, why does Perospero have a Viva card? Now, to me, there are two possibilities. One is that the most trusted members of the crew could actually have Viva cards. I think this is unlikely. Or this could be the other half of the Viva card that Adamande takes from Nami. I think that could be more likely, because in chapter 843, the big tree who, you know, is one of the homies, says Mama's own children are forbidden to hold a piece, and that's relating to the Viva card that Nami has. So Perospero shouldn't really have a Viva card, because even the children aren't meant to have one. It seems like a bit of a loophole, you know, the most trusted could have it, but as I say, I think it's more likely that this is the other half of Adamande's. Now, there's also the small talking point where this does categorically confirm that they did used to be part of the same crew, Big Mom and Kaido. I don't think it's been really said that they were the same crew. It was said they used to get along, you know, things didn't used to be how they are now. And this is kind of reinforced in this chapter. It's categorically stated they were part of the same crew. And a lot of people feel this could be the Rocks Pirates. I really like the idea that it's the Rocks Pirates. I really like the idea of there being this old era with a super pirate group before Roger's time. I think that would be really interesting, and I think it helps beef up the lore a bit of One Piece as well, while still using characters that we're aware of the strength of to be able to compare the old times and the new. So yeah, I kind of like it. Moving on, Hitetsu is worried about Atama because she's gone off with Ukiku and Chopper and Big Mom to Udon, where the prison mines are. Now, Big Mom is looking mighty precious in my book, with her hair all like that. I really like it. And as I say, they're heading to Udon, and there are a couple of funny moments with her and Chopper, like a lot of times where Luffy has looked at Chopper when he's been hungry or whatever. Big Mom does the same. It's a good funny talking point. But Chopper actually highlights that the hat isn't talking, Napoleon the hat, and he's been down for a while now, and I think this is to highlight the fact that for those who were wondering if Napoleon was going to help Big Mom get her memories back, while this is still a possibility, the likelihood at the moment is that Napoleon is out of action until Big Mom works out who she is. Just my personal thoughts on the matter though. And what I also found interesting was she doesn't use King's Haki to tame the Crocodile Shark. She uses just her fists and just hits it twice as well, which I thought was quite, you know, needed 2 hits to tame it. God damn, Big Mom. God damn it, Oda, don't do that to her. Like, 1 hit is what I want to see, you know? Oof. But anyway, moving on. Now, this is part we do get to see a map of Wano. A map of Wano is really important. Geography is so important, because not because it's like just lore fulfilling and it expands our understanding of the verse and it shows us how all these events are actually transpiring, but because in a story like One Piece, where it is all about adventuring and learning and seeing these places for yourself, having things like a map so we can see the places for ourselves is really quite important to me. It also helps us get a world view, you know, of what these places actually look like. And I like a good map. It fulfills Nami's dream as well. I like a good map. Maps are good. Well, that was a bad map compared to the sea charts that Nami's capable of anyway. So, yeah, so the rivers split it. There's 6 segments: Kyuri, Kibi, Hakumei, Ringo, Udon, and the Flower Capital. So we also get to touch upon Momo's kind of building resolve, the way that he wants to be part of the forefront of this battle. I do think that Momo won't be taking so much of a seated position, even if he has to be back a little bit of the main kind of scuff. I do think that Momo will be there to see the change of his country. And I think it's important too. I think it's important he's there when the Shogun is taken down, that man that took his father. He needs to see the Shoguns, you know, fall from grace. I think that's important. And then we can go into, of course, Snatch. What does Snatch mean? What is the Snatch thing? A lot of people want to now say that Zoro is from Wano. I think that's highly unlikely. Snatch apparently comes from an old Curie dialect. We don't know who taught it to Zoro, but the likelihood is that they are from Wano, which means that the person who taught Zoro is more likely to be from Wano than Zoro himself. Because when Zoro goes to the dojo, obviously he's pretty untrained. He picks up 3 swords kind of instinctually, but then he kind of goes for loads and loads. He's not really that trained in 3 sword style when he comes. He just naturally picks it up. That's his affinity. The word was affinity. It's Zoro's affinity. So who used it could be really interesting, because apparently it could be almost dishonourable for someone like Momo to say it. You know, it's not for someone of Momo's ilk. It might be for someone like a Ronin, like Zoro. So it's interesting where Snatch comes from, but it doesn't really give us that much information yet. Now, the chapter moves on to Ringo with the Northern Cemetery, and Shinobu, Brook, Nami and Robin talking about Hyougoro the flower, with that other samurai dude. There's so many samurai dudes, forgive me, but the gist of it is that Kushiro is actually quite new. Kushiro hasn't been about before the 20 years that, you know, Momonosuke and Kinemon and the others were put into the future. So Kushiro being a change, they don't know his strength. He's an unknown kind of power, and he's also unknown in his morals. Like, we don't know what Kushiro is about yet. From what we've seen, it's even harder to really place where he is, other than very loyal to the Shogun. Loyal enough to the Shogun to potentially have cut down Kurosaki for real. Which moves on to what they were talking about with Otoko, and whether she will be safe. And they want to go to the bathhouses and check if she's safe and things like that, which is all very odd. It's odd to me that they thought she'd be safe, but at the same point in time, gotta progress the plot somehow. So it's what it is. But Robin did a great job. Robin did a stand-up job of reconnaissance, and I'm so proud of her because I love Robin so much, and she's so self-depreciative about it. She's just like, I could only do so much, and blah, 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 is what I have done, and I just think that's great. Brook was actually looking for a poneglyph in the castle, which is really cool. He found a regular one. Robin didn't seem too, like, you know, interested in it, but I suppose it's not rogue poneglyph. That they do believe is on Onigashima Island. And yeah, I mean, I don't like poneglyphs being just skipped over, so I'm hoping we are going to go back there properly. Now, they mention Kokeshi dolls. Now, Kokeshi dolls, I looked them up. They're the little bauble-headed wooden kimono-ish wearing dolls. They've been kind of contemporized recently, and they're almost always like these geishas. But the gist of them is that I don't think the normal Kokeshi doll is kind of what's in there. I think it's going to be something more interesting. Like, it might be some form of, like, you know, statue guards or something tropey and weird like that. But the gist of it being, they ain't normal, or they wouldn't have mentioned them. And so, yeah, Komurasaki's death is spreading throughout the flower capital. Killing her off makes no sense. I don't think it's happened. That's how I feel. I know there are a lot of people that feel like she is okay. I don't understand how you can think that she's not. Just, she's got so much setup and absolutely no redemption. It makes no sense to lose her right now. It makes no sense for her motives or her morals. We didn't get a flashback explaining more to make it make sense of her death. No, she's probably fine. That's where I'm at. And the snail phones, pond snails, they're pretty cute. They're tubey things. Rather than Dendemushi, they have pond snails in Wano, and we get to know about this. And then onto the meatiest parts of the chapter, as normally are at the end. So Eustace Kid has escaped, which is looking mighty interesting, because I think that Luffy and Kid are, you know, rivals, leveling at each other's kind of pace. There's even a possibility that Kid is more aggressive when it comes to being a pirate than Luffy, and has, you know, fought a lot of fights. I'm not saying that Kid is the strongest. I'm not, because Luffy's the main character and I'm not an idiot. But what I am saying is they are rivals, they are meant to be pitted against each other, and when it comes to their strength, it ain't going to be as far off of each other as I think a lot of people seem to assume. And I feel like this gives a bit of evidence to my boy Kid, who's not really my boy so much, but he is a very good friend of mine's boy, and she loves him, and I love her, so he's my boy. But the gist of it being, I think Kid is strong, and I think that Killer might have helped him get out, and I think that we're going to see more of him. Where is Killer? I want to know where Killer is. We haven't seen him yet, and I feel like there's a reason for it. And they remind us of the punishment, don't they, with Alpaca Man, who looks ridiculous. And there's that scorpion-looking smile user with the kind of weird ponytail. And, you know, Luffy's about to defend Hyougoro the Flower, who turns out to be Grandpa Hyo, who's the ex-Yakuza boss, who's most likely a samurai, who most likely knew Odin, who could even help us get new allies. Like, there's so much that Hyougoro the Flower could do for us, other than just being physically strong. And Luffy's about to kind of save him from the guards, even though that could mean losing his arms or losing his legs or whatever that means. I think it's interesting they're reminders of the punishment. I think there is going to be a character that has had the punishment done to them that we're going to meet. I personally think it's the guy that spat the fish bones out, and I think the reason he has to spit the fish bones out at the guards is because he has no arms and legs to fight back. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. But anyway, Queen arrives at the prison just as Luffy is about to hand a guard. So what does that mean for Luffy? Does that mean Luffy's going to be more severely punished? Does that mean Luffy's going to end up in a one-on-one style fight? Does that mean that Luffy will escape the prison now? It's hard to tell. I would personally really like it if we got to see some actual action fighting in Wano now. We're getting reasonably far into it. I know it's a little bit ahead of the big 9-day till we're going off to Onigashima Island plan, but I would like to start seeing some things now. And I think this is a great opportunity. Now, some people would say, but Luffy's in SeaStone handcuffs, so fighting back for him is going to be, you know, a problem, and if he's able to defeat Queen with SeaStone handcuffs on, what does that mean for Queen? And I completely empathise with that. I think it's possible that Raizo may have done something about those handcuffs by now. It might be that just at the right moment, he's done it. Who knows? The gist of it being, I can't call next chapter because I'm not psychic, but I loved this chapter. It wasn't like the best in the world. A lot of people have been saying there was a lot of tell and not a lot of show. I have to agree with that a bit. There was a lot of tell in this chapter. It was very text heavy, hence all of my notes. And enjoyment wise, I probably only found it like a 5 or a 6. Like, I'm excited to see what might happen next chapter. Next chapter could be really cool, but this chapter, not so much. Some things were confirmed though. Page 1 going down completely, so Sanji has taken that massive W, and Nami being able to just at least stun the Shogun and completely all of those ninjas and just get out of that situation with Zeus. Goddamn, girl. Goddamn. So, yeah, that's been the chapter. That's been the chapter for me, at least. And hopefully you're going to tell me what the chapter was like for you, and we can talk about it, as I do love to do. So, that's been Sage. See you.